can't we talk about Ashes of Creation? Can't we discuss the things we're concerned about without being like haters?
Yes.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it, to be honest.
Yes.
But I gotta say, with all that being said, this month's live stream, dude, it kind of hit. It was pretty good.
I
And
agree.
me and Chase
Yeah,
were kind of
agree.
talking about this earlier. We're gonna try to dissect a little, but I don't know if there's like one thing that we're gonna say that's just gonna be why it just was different. Like it's hard to put my finger on exactly.
different.
You just looked at it and you saw what was going on. And you're like, this looks good, you know. And we'll try to get into it. I don't know. You guys all saw it. What was some of your guys' thoughts? I'll go to you first, Chase. What were your thoughts when you saw this month's?
Man,
And it was on commissions, right? Like this commission, kind of like a
Yes.
job boards. Almost. I mean, it looks almost exactly like New World's like job
It
board,
does.
right?
I was just gonna say the job board New World connection is real. I think the biggest thing though that really kind of blew me away though. I mean the fact that you can just do those sharing quests was a big one. That was big. But I think really what I saw from a visual perspective was the art direction. I mean, it took such a big turn from the previous one that I saw visually when it came down to weather, the lighting effects, just the overall like connection to the world looked better. It just, and I know each phase is going to get better and better and better and better, but just man, they did some huge tweaks and it looks great. And just not on top of just the commissions board, it looks better.
I haven't kept up on some of the older live streams just because there's so much hype about the game that I don't want to be on the train. I kind of just want to wait to big segments like this, and I'm kind of glad I tuned into this one. And this is the reason why. I looked at it almost like EverQuest 2, kind of how it looked like that, but I don't care about the commissions. I don't care about the job board. I don't care about the questing. The combat looked incredible. Just the way it felt. You could see the wizard. I'm like, I want to play a sorcerer right now. The way they're blinking through the field, and then they have that like the
you mean you want to blink
casting
directly into the enemies? Is that
like it was just?
I mean, he was doing it on stream.
Top tier strat, I think.
Yeah, so it was really cool. The combat looked really polished in that fight sequence when he was like making mistakes left and right, but he's like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't supposed to fight this one yet, but let's keep going, and that actually looked really smooth. So it was hard for me to watch the rest of the game after seeing the combat. I'm like, this is the combat's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Scott, we did a video on the mage reveal, a lot of that stuff, and we mostly were not impressed with it. Did you see it this time and we're like, hey, this looks way better? What made it look better to you think?
It was the first time when I looked at it and thought, oh, this looks like a game. It always felt, and I mean, obviously it was in alpha, so that we're just not used to seeing this. So it was always a little jarring, but this is the first iteration where I think everything we've been seeing up until this point finally came together. They showcased the weather. They started showcasing some of the quests, some of the combat, but we hadn't really seen it put together like it is now. And that was, it took some weight off my shoulders when it came to being a little pessimistic about the game.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Just about alpha. Over the years, we've bastardized that term, not like us as a group, but I'm saying this is what alpha is supposed to be. You're not supposed to get a release of a game during alpha.
Yeah.
And over the years, that's been changed. And so I feel like when I actually saw this, I'm like, oh, they've made huge leaps and bounds. And now they're at the alpha phase, and they're not ready to release it yet until even beta, whatever. It's just, you're not supposed to see gameplay at alpha phase. You're not supposed to see any of it. It's supposed to be so rudimentary. So the fact it's kind of bringing that back has me excited that they're taking the time, whatever, 7-10 years now, whatever it is, but still they're taking the time, and alpha should be exactly that. The game should be so different from alpha to launch, completely different. So
and it looks good now in alpha still.
Yeah, and that can almost be a whole nother video, James, what you brought up, because how some companies now, they've almost even pushed the alpha to be like a marketing phase. Yeah, which is insane, like you're saying. And then me and Scott had this conversation all the time. Chase has chimed in on this too, is it's again the double-edged sword of having open development that Ashes is doing.
Yeah.
They're showing you everything. You know, we talked about this in the last video. Every month's live stream can't be a hit, like a
Yeah.
banger. Like you're just like, oh wow, this was amazing. You know, but when you get to what we saw this time, it does bring you back to like, hey, they are moving in a good direction, right?
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what it was for me. It wasn't even the spells, although the spells did look really good.
They did.
The weather looked great. I think the commission idea is really good because everything's supposed to be centered around nodes, right? So that obviously makes sense. You're helping out your node. But to me, it was the character movement. I think for a long time, I've viewed the character movement as very stiff, like
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
upright. Like it just looked off, right? It wasn't good. And for whatever reason, I don't know if I noticed when the character was moving, like there would just be some slant and some movement side to side. I can't even explain it because I'm not a developer, so I don't know how they rate
Some
the
inertia.
models. It just was, yeah, it just was. It just looked more natural, and I'm like, I think that is the missing puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
It just needs to look natural. It needs to look good. You know, you can change the spells later if the spells aren't good, but the base movement of the character needs to be solid. It was kind of cool. He got the job board quest. He went out. He's doing his thing for the node. He comes across an NPC, right? And this is a side
Minotaur.
quest.
The Minotaur.
Yeah, and so he picks up a side quest to do with that, and so it's all kind of happening together. And then, oh wait, there's a dynamic event happening over here. But and this is what a good thing
I
they've
want to
pulled
talk
from
about that
Guild
too.
Wars. You know, you can do your main heart quest and a dynamic event, and they're both helping you
Both
for
combined.
both quests, right? There's overlap. You're not doing 2 different things. And then at the end, the node levels up, and you see this big smoke appear, and now you have a new
tree.
main story quest that's been activated. You know,
Yep.
all building on each other. And I thought they did a good job of layering how the questing is going to go, how it's going to interact with nodes. I don't know. Do you think they nailed it on that? I mean, I know they didn't show the main story quests. You know, they want to probably hold that back.
My curiosity was kind of running wild and thinking that, you know, it as these nodes expand, as the story is drawn out, are these your own personal nodes? Now, this, you know, forgive me if this has been answered in previous ones, but is it going to be in a way where it like affects the entirety of the world? So that tree that sprayed down that gas, you know, at the end, now does everybody have the ability to experience that new node that was just expressed into the world?
Yeah. I'll give a quick rundown on the nodes. They've just expanded nodes when they increased the size of the world. So basically, there's a whole grid on the map of different potential nodes. The way that a node increases in level is XP gained in that zone of influence for that node will start to grow the node up level 1, level 2.
Got it.
And once the node gets to level 3, it locks out all adjacent potential nodes around it. And then you have to move a little further to level up a node. I think nodes can go up to level 2 around it, and they're vassal nodes that will send some of their resources and taxes to the main node. But yes, as that node levels up, dungeons will appear, quest lines will appear server side for everyone.
That's for everyone. Okay.
And this is why the game is appealing, right? Like no 2 servers will be the same because no 2 servers will have the exact same node progression.
God,
Like
that's
there will
so
be
interesting.
quests on some servers that other people on other servers will never see, or unless a node is destroyed and one is leveled up. You know what I mean? And so it's going to do an interesting take on almost like as content creators, people are going to have to be content creators for their server. Right? Like, hey, this is a dungeon guide for this node that leveled up here, and this is how you do it, and this is what drops from it. And you know, it's going to be interesting. But James, I know it sounded like you had something earlier that you wanted to throw in. Was I wrong? What'd you have?
No, it was just about the dynamic. I like when games did that. When WoW first introduced that dynamic gameplay, it did add to the aspect of like, all right, you're automatically fighting an enemy. Everyone can tag it. Now, as soon as someone else tags it, the life bar will expand now, and all this other, like, I thought WoW did that really good, that collaborative play, instead of that whole mob stealing thing that a lot of games still have. So I hope it does something similar to that, and so I kind of hope that dynamic play will play into suit there.
Yeah. No, I think the dynamic system's great. I mean, of course, I have to bring up Guild Wars 2 while we're talking about that. It's great. You'll see it. All right, I'm out of here.
Game's trash, James. Combat sucks.
Trash is trash.
You see an event pop up, right? You have a chance to jump in that event. If you succeed, another event follows, and then another leading up to maybe like a huge boss fight. But you have the chance to fail those events, and it will be on a timer that starts over. But I think you're right. Cooperative tagging, like all those things, it just encourages group gameplay, even if you're not grouped with people. All right, I did have one nitpick, one concern, and I've talked on the channel about this before, and I'm sure this is just a alpha thing, and it's probably just to show the combat and quests, but it was the mob density. Like it was like you can't take a step in the world without pulling a mob.
That was wild.
I had these vibes in Legion. I think that was the peak of like, I couldn't go through Suramar or whatever the zone was without aggroing a mob unless I was on my rogue and stealthing around. And I think WoW has gotten back to that with Dragonflight. Like sometimes you just need some open space. Like you just want to adventure. You just want to chill and roam. And so I'm hoping this is an alpha thing.
Yeah, the mass amount of mushrooms that came after him, and like the minotaurs that started following him. And
you
then
almost got to cut out Steven's gameplay. I mean, Steven's just going to do Steven things. It is what it is.
That was actually hilarious. He just pulled that entire forest on him.
Is he trolling, or is he this bad at gaming?
He has to be
trolling.
He has to be trolling. Oh jeez. Oh god. He's got 50 guys.
He legit blinked into every single mob that he was fighting, and then backpedaled from them after he blinked right at them.
So good. And they're going like, go left, come on, Steve, go right, dude, come on.
He's like, hey, I might need some group members over here, and then they just pop right in next to him.
Yeah. I feel like at one point they just despawned the mobs.
Like, they did. Like all right, too many mods. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a small thing, but all I know is this video was really good. The showcase was good.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever left the train. I think I was always wanted to see Ashes through the end, just to see what it was going to be. Yeah. But I mean, I have some renewed hope. It was really good, and this just leads me to say Alpha 2 needs to get here ASAP, like right away. Like they need to get this thing rolling. Like we've been looking at the Riverlands for like 3 years. Let's see some other zones. Let's see how Alpha 2 is going to shape out with players, because you're right, Scott. Yeah. It looks like it's finally becoming a game.
How cool did the res look? That was when he rezzed him after he got killed in the mob.
From the Ashes.
Like the Phoenix
from Ashes to Rise. Yeah.
It was just,
that was cool.
What a cool minor thing to add in.
That was cool. Yeah. It's the little touches like that, right?
Yes. It's the little things, man.
Like ashes of creation,
Hey.
Oh.
That's
Rise.
the part of the lore, Scott.
Oh.
You didn't get that?
What? What is this?
Wait, Tom, that's the
maybe Scott needs to go watch our old podcast.
Where did he go?
It was a freaking phoenix, and their little
and they rose.
Their bodies were ashes.
Their bodies.
When the little Ashes logo comes up, and it's like,
oh like my god, phoenix. It's the same as the logo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever played Final Fantasy? You know where that
Have
Phoenix
you ever played a video
game?